He's an advocate for bringing people together. Oh, my gosh. Isn't that a nice thing to say? That's a great... I've never heard somebody say that before. I'm going to put that on my business card. An advocate for bringing people together.
There you go.
I don't know how good I am at it, but I'm an advocate for it. Bridging the divide, absolutely. He's a chef, a stay-at-home dad, an entrepreneur, and the founder of GrillSeeker.com. He's got a book called Grill Seeker, Basic Training for Everyday Grilling, Robin.
It's amazing. It's so good.
The cover. Just, you're not supposed to judge a book by the cover, but I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, that is the best picture of ribs I've ever seen, ever. It's wonderful.
Matthew Eads. Good morning, Matthew. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on this morning, guys.
First and foremost, thank you for your service. My gosh, what a contribution you've already made to all of us.
You know what? I enjoyed every minute of my time in the Marines and appreciate your things. So thank you.
And you were in harm's way more than once, so I'm sure you've got your own set of things you could probably tell us stories about. How did this?
There might be one or two.
Yeah. How did this happen for you? Were you you weren't grilling over there, were you?
I've been grilling since I started cooking over open fires. At probably around age 12 or 13, I guess it was when. As most young boys have a fort out in the woods, and my dear friend James and I had a terrific fort that was like the Taj Mahal of forts.
Wow!
And it was terrific. And and we would spend literally all day out there from daylight till dark, and you'd get hungry. So I started. I borrowed, and I use the term borrowed loosely, a cast iron pan from my mom's pantry, and we would sneak food out of our individual freezers and take it out to the forest with us and cook near our fort. And so that's where my passion for outdoor cooking started. And I've done it all through the military and through my professional life. It's just always been a serious hobby of mine.
So some of these recipes, I'm flipping through the book as you're talking, and definitely a picture has 1,000 words, as they say. There are so many things in here I want to try. I mean, you have some really good-looking stuff in here. I must be hungry, Robert.
Perfect. Yeah, mission accomplished. Then we've got people wanting to try new stuff. That's awesome.
So, what's the easiest thing to cook on a grill?
Probably a steak. I think is probably one of the easiest things to cook, or a burger, or a hot dog.
Yeah, I could do those things.
Yeah, pretty simple stuff. But you know what? Nothing in the book is overly complicated. The book is written really to cook an entire meal from appetizer through dessert outdoors on your grill, and you can do all these in an hour or so.
What can I ask a question that it's kind of related to grilling, but maybe not? The one thing I'm not that good at cooking, period. But when I try, the hardest thing is to get everything done at the same time. I feel like, oh my gosh, this is done and that's not done. I'm going to have some cold stuff and some hot stuff. How do you coordinate? This is a dumb question, I guess. But how do you coordinate? No. You have a way?
Not at all. It's you can look. So I put and you can see a lot of my recipes on the website as well. You'll kind of see how long it takes to cook or whatever, and so you can kind of figure it out from that perspective. But to be honest with you, it's just a lot of trial and error, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes to kind of time things perfectly. And also, if you have a warming drawer, that makes all the difference.
A warming drawer.
A warming drawer. There you go.
Do they sell grills with warming drawers?
I actually have a warming drawer in my outdoor kitchen at home that serves that purpose very well.
Really?
You talk about camaraderie, and you have a movement, #United by Flame.
Oh,
right.
Cool.
So I started that. The United by Flame movement really started when I recognized that, regardless of your, political sort of affiliation or gender or color or sexual orientation, when people of various walks of life are around a grill cooking food, all of those differences that seemingly are highlighted these days just get set aside, and people just talk about food and fire and togetherness and camaraderie. And so I started that. I started that on social media, and then I realized, like, how can I get more people to do this? Because grills are typically purchased and then used for the 4th of July and maybe Memorial Day, and the rest of the time they kind of collect dust.
I think that's
so.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's a brilliant observation.
Yeah. So I wanted to create a cookbook that would allow people to do things that were simple, that they could do every day, and make great food and even better memories.
The cover photo for the chapter 7 it shows a fish wrapped in string. That is not something I'm going to eat. I am not going to. It looks like a fish. I mean, it is a fish.
It is a fish.
Yeah, red snapper.
Yes,
I don't
it looks
know.
wonderful.
My fish has to look. You know the McDonald's fish burger? That's how mine has to look. Mine has to look
Fillet
like
of fish. Yeah, that's funny.
After you came out of the military, you enrolled in college as a 30-year-old freshman. How were you able to survive college life with the younger generation?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So it was actually fairly easy after coming from 13 years of a pretty rigorous kind of lifestyle. Going to college was really not that difficult. Time management, I think, is probably most people's biggest obstacle in school, especially as a freshman. And I kind of had those skills already, so it was not difficult at all.
What is a Hasselback potato? What is that?
It's a style of potato used like the slices, so it's sliced very thin, but not all the way through. And so when you're grilling it, the potato, you get kind of flavor gets all the way through the potato as opposed to just on the skin. So you can get some butter and olive oil or whatever you want down inside of the slices.
That looks really good. Did you see that one?
Oh, it's terrific.
Yeah, doesn't that look great?
It's grilled garlic, butter, and chive Hasselback potatoes. I'd never heard of that before.
Yeah, that's a great one. You should give that one a try. Your family will love it also.
So, when you say that the grilling brings people together, I think you're right. I don't think I've ever thought about that before. I've always thought music and sports brings people together, but you're right. Grilling and that kind of an activity, or central point to an activity, really would make a big difference.
It really does. And with the recipes in the book, it's something for everybody. Everybody can do, sort of their part. And really, it's for me about building those memories.
And your mom was a huge inspiration to you for what she overcame.
My mom was, she cooked, she was sort of the cook of the house. And I learned just so much from her, really like cast iron cooking. And my mom just kind of improvising with what we had. It was a very humble upbringing. And so she was a big influence on my sort of culinary career.
The book is called Grill Seeker, Basic Training for Everyday Grilling, and it is written by our guest, Matthew Eads. Matthew, is the entrepreneur part of your credentials, is this where your entrepreneurship is taking you? Is it about the book and about the other things you've talked about that help bring people together? Do those two things come together, is what I'm trying to ask?
Sure, they really do, and I had no idea that the grilling passion and outdoor cooking passion that I've always had would actually become a business, and it actually has. So I started on social media just sort of by accident. My kids said, "Hey, you should put these pictures of food on social media and on Instagram." And I said, "What's Instagram?" And they explained it, so they helped me set up an account, and I started posting pictures of food, and it kind of just took off from there. And so I realized, hey, there's some real potential to do a business with this. And I do a lot of, I do a lot of consulting now with various brands that are developing new products or ingredients. I travel and do cooking instructions at various places to teach people about grilling. Of course, with the book and with the website, it's really just launched into kind of a business of its own. Really, it's pleasurable.
When you were building your open pit fires, you also had to come up with creating racking systems.
Yeah, that was the interesting part. So we found some rebar that was kind of just discarded and made our own essentially a stovetop out of it.
That's pretty amazing.
So I went to the website, and I want to share with the listeners. It's grillseeker.com. Pretty easy. The first thing you're going to notice is the ultimate grilled Cuban sandwich. If you go there right now, that looks pretty good. But I also wanted to mention that you are reviewing some things. So just so you know, I've never really owned a grill. I had those little cheap charcoal things, but that's about the extent of it. And when I go to, let's say, Lowe's or someplace like that where they have a whole lineup of different grills, I always think to myself, I wouldn't know where to begin. How would I know which ones are the best ones? And so you actually do some reviews on here. Let's see, the one I was just looking at was... Oh, where is it now? You had a review on here. Oh, the cooker review, the Gotham Steel Electric... Oh, this is an indoor grill, this one.
Yeah, so we started just recently doing a number of reviews on indoor grills because I get questions all the time from folks that live in an apartment that don't have access to a grill or are not allowed to grill. And they say, how can I make some of this stuff, but I don't have my grill? And I thought, you know what, these indoor grills are really starting to trend. So We've got probably 6 or 7 of them reviewed now, and probably another dozen of them in the hopper that those reviews will post soon. But if you've got the opportunity, to grill outside, and the question is, what grill should I get? Just if you're a beginner, start with just an inexpensive kettle grill and a $5 bag of charcoal, and you can do most of what you want on something like that if you're a beginner, and that's where I tell people that's where you should start.
So there's a guy who shows up in my neighborhood now and then with a truck. He'll knock on my door and he'll ask me if I want to buy any steaks or any meat. And I always say, no, I'm good. And then I always wonder, is it any good? Because the reason I say no is because I just don't know him, and I don't know how those meats are not prepared, but are they frozen? How does he do it? So and I notice on here you have reviews of the mail order steaks.
Sure.
So how do you normally get the meat that you cook? Do you get it at the grocery store or the butcher, or do you get it through mail order?
I don't. I try to avoid grocery store, chain meats as much as possible. I think there's just a lot of deception in the industry. When you see something that says, product of USA, there's some creative ways to make it a product of USA, and it really isn't. You have no idea where the sourcing of the meat comes from. So I try to stay away from the big chains if I can. Generally, I get meats through mail order. There's a ton of services out there now that
really
you can track down specifically where your meats came from. American farmers that are either pasture fed, and so the quality is just much superior that way. And that was another initiative that we took on for this year on grillseeker.com, is to start reviewing all of the various mail order protein companies, so that people can have an idea of from start to finish, from the ordering process to the time the meat's received, how does it work out?
Am I putting you on the spot by asking you to name the top 3? Which ones do you trust the most, or which ones give you the best meat?
Well, it depends, I guess, on your taste. I do a lot of mail order from Omaha Steaks, which is probably the most well known. You've probably seen their infomercials or
I have.
Things of that. Yeah, they've been around for a long time. So that's a great one. And there's several out there. You can check on the website. There's several out there that do a really nice job. And from a budget perspective, there's budget from very minimal to some very extravagant ones.
I like the desserts. I love the vegetables, but I like the creativity of the desserts. Did you come up with all of those? Did you invent those?
I would say yeah. They're all my recipes. I can't imagine somebody hasn't grilled peaches or pears or things in the past. But yeah, these are all mine. And desserts really are. I've got a 13-year-old daughter that doesn't really love grilled food. Crazy, I know. But she is all about the grilled desserts, interestingly enough. So those are fun to do with my daughter.
And what is mascarpone?
Mascarpone is a cheese, actually. And so it's a very mild cheese, though. It doesn't. And so when you mix it with the powdered sugar and the cream, it really gets like a fluffy texture.
Yeah, because that really looks good.
Matthew Eads is our guest. He spells his last name Eads. If you want to check out his website, it's grillseeker.com. And we do have a phone call coming in. Are you okay with taking phone calls?
Sure.
Okay, good morning. Thank you for calling and waiting. You're on the air with Matthew.
Yes, good morning. A cheap and dirty marinade is Italian salad dressing, whatever brand you're customary with. But that you take your steak or your pork chop or whatever and soak it in that for a couple hours before you put it on the grill.
There you go.
And that makes it real good.
All right, Matthew, do you use much marinade?
I've got a couple of marinades that I do that are in the book. I tend to be a little bit more of a purist, so I like the flavor of beef by itself. So marinades for me are things that I'll use on maybe a tougher cut of meat or something that's a little bit bigger. So like a giant, a tri-tip or a London broil, the bigger cuts of meat. I'll do some marinades with those.
So I'm sorry.
When you were serving in different countries and you were grilling out there, was there some kind of local food that you came accustomed to grilling that we don't have here?
Not really anything that we don't have here. I spent a lot of time in the South Pacific, and so I learned a lot of Thai recipes while I was there, and that's been kind of an inspiration for me.
So in those other countries, are the meats something that we wouldn't want to eat?
It depends. I mean, if you're okay with goat, that's one that a lot of people aren't all that enamored with. But it's I like goat actually. It's pretty good stuff.
Is that the first place you ever had it? Was in the service?
Yes.
Oh my gosh! What was the first thought when you first heard about it? Did you say, "Oh my gosh, I'm not touching that"?
No, I thought, let's give this a try. I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to my palate. So I gave it a try. It was actually really good stuff. But
if you knew it was dog, I couldn't do that. I mean, did that ever happen in any of those countries?
No, that never happened for me, and I think I might have to draw a line at dog.
Whenever you're entertaining people and you're grilling, are there ever differences of opinions from your guests on how to do something?
You know what? And I don't know if maybe their judgment is clouded, but for whatever reason, the folks that come to my house always think that I must be the master of the grill, so they don't necessarily disagree too much. So it's always pretty amicable.
Well, now there is a social thing about that you just brought up, because I know that if I'm at somebody's house and they're cooking and I say, "Are you sure you're supposed to do that?" they will aim that pitchfork at me.
Right. Another person's grilling ability when you're at their house.
Yeah. You have to respect the what do you call it, Robin? The alpha male. The alpha male. The guy at the grill is the alpha male, right? Even if you're the alpha male, if you're Donald Trump and you're at somebody else's house, that guy is the alpha male, not Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. You've got to surrender to the host's grill.
I like personally. I love grilling with charcoal, and my brother likes his gas grill. Do you have a preference for different items when you make them?
Yeah, different things. And I will tell you that the purist will say you can't get the flavor that you can from a charcoal grill on a gas grill. I'll say that for probably 90% of the things people generally make, it's not on the grill long enough to take on much charcoal flavor. I do like to use charcoal, and if I'm going to do like a long cook of let's call it a pork shoulder or a brisket or ribs, then of course I want to use live fire and smoke. But if I'm doing a steak or fish or things like that, generally I'm using my gas grill.
Well, my dad would always hang out by our gas grill, and he'd have a beer, and then he would dump it in the fire sometimes. Is that what you do sometimes?
I remember, my dad also cooking, and I will tell you that my dad was not. He was not a great griller. He loved to grill, but he was not a great griller. And he used to always pour beer over the steaks while they were on the grill. I never understood why. He always said it gave him more flavor. I don't know, but I think it was probably because he had had too many at that point. Wanted to see the flavor.
Oh, my dad too.
Where are you,
right?
Matthew? Where are you calling from? Where are you?
I live in Northern Virginia, just outside of Washington D.C.
Virginia. See, Robin is from Milwaukee, and specifically from Cudahy, right?
Yes.
Which is, I guess, a suburb. It sounds like bacon and sausages are a huge, big deal up there. Do you, or brat? They call them brats, right?
Yeah.
Do you do any of that stuff? And kind of a secondary question with that question is, do you sometimes find a place in the country to order from that just has the best bacon or the best sausage or the best anything? Are you there? Did we lose him?
I don't know.
I hate when the phone messes up. Matthew there? See, okay, so the reason I was asking him is because they're on his website. It says, I recently tried Dearborn brand sausages, which is a Michigan-based family business that has been perfecting their products since 1946, and I was hooked instantly, it says here. Their extensive line of products is a must-try. So he's getting his sausages, Robin, from Dearborn, Michigan, I guess, is where that is, right? So I was just curious if he gets anything from Milwaukee. Matthew, did we lose you completely? I don't hear him at all. Oh, well. Do we have enough time? Let me. Do we have the book? We have the book here, so let me give the book away. If you would like the book, it's really a nicely done book. It's called Grill Seeker: Basic Training for Everyday Grilling. It's got a lot of recipes in it. It's got a lot of great pictures. Let me just go through real quickly. Citrus roasted duck, chicken satay with Thai peanut sauce. So that's kind of cool. Smoked and seared tri-tip with creamy horseradish, grilled frank steak with jalapeno chimichurri. Anyway, nice book, and you can get it on Amazon. I found it on Amazon, and you can also, I think you can order it from his website. Mm-hmm. Let me see real
The
quickly.
phone lines just went down, so it's not Matthew's part. So that's what it is. All of our phone lines are down now, except for the 622 number.
All right, so let me give this book away. Okay, let me try this one here. Oh, gosh. Good morning. You've got the book. Who's this?
Thank you. It's Meg.
Who?
Meg?
Meg? Okay, do you know where we are, Meg?
Yes, I do.
All right, you got it. It'll be waiting for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I am so sorry. I'm going to call Matthew back on my cell phone and apologize to him. Our phone lines just went down.
Yeah, phone lines are something else. That was a really good conversation, and definitely makes you want to go get a grill. I've never really owned a grill. I was telling him this before, Robin. Mm-hmm. I had that little thing with the charcoal thing. You know?
Oh yeah, the hibachi.
right.
Yeah.
I had that too.
I had the.
I had that little round thing, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, the 18-inch.
I should get another one. Kind of like
the
doing
one
it.
The 18-inch rack.
I'm not that good at it though. You know?
Well, you use this book and you're going to be able to get a couple cool things.
Maybe I will.
Yeah,
maybe we'll see.
You should. You make the best cheeseburgers.
I do make the best cheeseburgers.
Boy, so disappointed our lines went down.
Yeah, but I
cheat.
See, I cheat with the cheeseburgers. I get the Velveeta cheese.
Uh-huh.
I cut it as thick as the hamburger itself, mm-hmm. and then just put the two together, let it melt, and say goodbye to reality.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a little break. We'll be right back. This is The Source, WOCA. Coming up next is Ocala Magazine Radio. Philip Glassman, Jesse Miller, Nick Steele, and I believe others. I saw Carla out there earlier,
Yep,
right?
Carla Grimsley from Interfaith.
We'll be right back. This is The Source, WOCA Ocala.
Plenty of sunshine on this Friday and warm, but there may be a shower in spots along the coast during the morning hours. The high 84 at the coast, 90 inland. Partly cloudy Friday night, low 65 inland, low 70s along the coast. Times of clouds.